This week our subgenre is psychological horror. And in a psychological horror film, most of the time you're not going to have, at least the beginning of the film, any kind of tangible monster or killer or anything else. You're going to spend a lot of the film wondering where it's actually coming from. So if there is no monster, where is it? It has to come from somewhere. It's going to come from the mind most of the time. And it's going to be either the mind of the main character or the anti-hero or someone else within the film. Um, and you spend a great deal of the film wondering if that person is crazy or if there is something really wrong with them, and if there's some unseen force that's driving them and forcing them to do things. So good examples are Cat People, The Haunting, Rosemary's Baby, and The Shining, which is our film for this week. Our term for this week that relates to psychological horror in general and The Shining in particular is the uncanny. And I know when you think of the word uncanny, you're thinking of the Uncanny X-Men, or when you watch Blood Feast, there was a point where the police chief goes, "That killer, he's uncanny." And we're actually looking at a different word, a different usage of the word, and it comes from a Freudian term, and it was originally Unheimlich, which doesn't really have an American translation, so the uncanny is the closest we have to it. But it deals with repressed memories and emotions, way deep in the subconscious, which end up triggering something. And it ends up creating something that's like deja vu, but much stronger. So some kind of external event or a place, in the case of the film we're watching today, will end up triggering these memories, and they start bubbling up, and then in most cases they end up causing problems. So if you've ever had deja vu, imagine if that then takes you over, and that's what the uncanny is kind of like. So this week's film, The Shining, from 1980, which in a lot of respects is a lot more a Stanley Kubrick film than it is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, which, to be honest, a lot of Stephen King adaptations don't really make it to the screen that well, and that's because his books are very long and it's kind of difficult to condense it down. The film differs substantially from the original novel, and that I think is to its credit because it becomes kind of a unique work. And of course, Stephen King hated it, and Stanley Kubrick hated it too, but Stanley Kubrick hated everything, so that's just kind of the way it goes. His misanthropy actually is what creates films like The Shining and actually makes them, what they are. In this film, there's a heavy use of music and cinematography to create a lot of the tension in the film. Use of off-screen space is very important in this film. So there's a lot of danger and menace kind of lurking around the corner. And then, of course, you have room 237. You wonder what's behind that door for a great deal of the film. You finally get to find out, but you have to wait for it. And that's kind of cool. So that off-screen space, you've got that blank door, and you're wondering what is going to happen once they finally open it up. And this, to a lot of people, is considered to be one of the scariest movies ever made. Some people think it's kind of boring and they don't quite get it. Other people, it just resonates, something very deep. So I think I saw this film when I was 8 years old, and yeah, I don't really know if I should have gone to see it when I was 8 years old, but it terrified me. So enjoy, and wear a like a heavy coat when you watch this film, because I always get really cold when I watch it.